Hello, bonjour, and welcome to the Vegan Cook's Passport, where I aim to cook a vegan version of every national dish in the world. Now you might notice I'm in a different kitchen this week, and it's because my friends Tarek and Tina have gone away. I'm house sitting. They've got a beautiful kitchen, so I thought I might as well take the opportunity to do some filming here. The country we're going to be cooking today is Belgium. Before we get into that, let's have a look where Belgium is on the map. The Kingdom of Belgium is a Western European country sandwiched in between France, Germany and the Netherlands, just here. It's a small country, but it is split between the French-speaking population and the Dutch-speaking population. It is, of course, also the official home of the European Union, based in the capital, Brussels, just here. The cuisine is widely varied and generally reflects the neighbouring countries. There are obviously big differences between the cuisines of those countries. It's sometimes said that Belgian food is served in the quantity of German food, but with the quality of French food. And we're back! So let's talk about Belgium's national dish. Belgium actually has two national dishes. One of them is moules frites, so mussels with fries, which I don't think is a very interesting option for a vegan recipe, to be honest. So I'm going to go with the other national dish of Belgium, which is the Carbonade Flamande. So let's go through a few of the ingredients. What am I going to use instead of the beef? Well, I'm back to my old trusty friend, the Portobello mushroom. Oh yeah. These things, I've used them quite a few times in my recipes so far. Such a good substitute for anything that you want a meaty, beefy taste in. They're definitely the beefiest of the mushrooms. So I'm going to be using trusty old Portobello. Now, one of the most important ingredients in this recipe is the beer. Belgium is known for having some of the best beer in the world. It's definitely some of my favorite beer. It's really important you use beer in this recipe, and it's important that you try and get this type of beer. So the beer they use is called a triple beer. It's called triple because they put triple the amount of malt that you'd usually put in the beer. What this does is it makes a higher alcohol percentage. So this one is 8%. I think some of them can go up to sort of 9, maybe 10%. But it also gives it a lot of flavour, so it's sort of a malty, bittersweet flavour, gives loads of flavour to the dish. They're also delicious just to drink on their own as well, or with the meal. So to try and recreate the meatiness of the dish, because this is a casserole dish, so you're going to be cooking this down for a long time, that gives a lot of flavour. It brings out the flavours of the meat as well when you're cooking that. I'm going to use soy sauce, which again I've used in quite a few of my sort of meatier recipes. You're not going to taste any soy sauce in the dish, but the soy sauce adds a lot of umami flavor, and umami is really important when you're trying to recreate meat. So yeah, just a little bit of soy sauce goes a long way. Finally, one of the key ingredients in a Carbonade Flamande is some pancetta or bacon, something like that, that they usually fry at the start. Obviously, we're not going to be using any of that, but I did want to recreate that sort of smokiness that you can get with some of that bacon. So I'm using liquid smoke. You don't need a lot of this stuff. It's quite strong, but it will hopefully give a lovely smokiness to the dish and just add to the depth of flavor as well. As always, I'm going to give a wine pairing suggestion at the end, even though obviously beer is going to go pretty well with this dish too. So there are a number of accompaniments that you can use to serve with the Carbonade Flamande. In Belgium, they use either fries, Belgian fries, which they're very, very proud of, bread, potatoes. They're the sort of the main three, the sort of three carbs that go with the dish. I'm going to use boiled potatoes. I'm not going to show you how to boil the potatoes. You can figure that out on your own, but you can choose to have this with any of those accompaniments. I'm really excited for this. I love cooking stews. I've never cooked this one before. Let's get stuck in to cooking a Carbonade Flamande, vegan style. Heat a large casserole dish or pot over a medium-high heat with no oil. Dry fry 400 grams of portobello mushrooms cut into chunks until browned. Should take around 3 minutes on each side. You can do this in batches to avoid overcrowding the pan with mushrooms. Set the mushrooms aside for later. Turn the heat down to low, then add some olive oil to the pan. Then add 3 sliced onions and 3 cloves of minced garlic. Fry for 8 minutes, then add a stick of cinnamon, 4 cloves, 3 bay leaves, half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, a tablespoon of chopped fresh thyme leaves, and a handful of chopped parsley stalks. Fry for 3 minutes, then add 2 tablespoons of chickpea flour. Stir the flour in and cook off for 1 minute. Next add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of liquid smoke, half a litre of vegan stock, and half a litre of ale, preferably Belgian triple beer. Add salt to taste, bring to a simmer, then add back the browned mushrooms. Stir it all in, then cook partially covered for 1 hour. Next it's time to add 1 tablespoon of whole grain mustard, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, a grind of pepper, and add some more salt if needed. Pop the lid back on and cook for a further 30 minutes. Add a handful of chopped parsley leaves, switch the heat off, then serve with boiled potatoes, fries, or bread. And there we have it. Belgian Carbonade Flamande. Vegan. This is exactly what I want to eat right now. It's a little bit cold here in Melbourne, the end of March. And this is exactly what I want to get stuck into. Let's give it a little taste. It's so thick. It's thickened up really nicely. Oh, look at that. Look at that. So meaty, thick, loads of depth of flavour from that beer, from the soy sauce, from the mustard. A little bit of maple syrup, hasn't made it sweet, but it's just taken that kind of bitterness of the beer, sort of rounded that off quite nicely. I've served this with boiled potatoes. I actually found some pretty cool like purple potatoes from a local store, which look pretty cool. They taste delicious as well. Can't remember what they're called, to be honest, but if you can find any of these things, they're really, really good. Like I said at the beginning, you can have it with fries, you can have it with bread, potatoes, whatever you want, really. So traditionally in Belgium, when they're cooking this stew, they add this Flemish spiced cake to the stew when it's cooking. I think it's called unbitchkok. I probably just butchered that pronunciation, but it's basically a spiced cake. It's got cinnamon, cloves, and it thickens up the stew and gives it a kind of a spicy taste. It's going to be real difficult to find that specific cake outside of Belgium, probably. But the flour that we've used, the chickpea flour, has done the job of thickening it up, and we've used some of the spices, the cinnamon, the clove, the bay leaves, that kind of thing anyway. But if you can find that cake, chuck that in there as well. Wine pairing suggestion, like I said at the beginning, this is going to go fantastically with the beer that you've put into this, but if you do want to drink wine, which I'm going to have some wine with this actually, I'd recommend a meaty red wine. I'm going to go for some Cabernet Sauvignon. I'm not going to recommend French Cabernet Sauvignon unless it's spending a lot of money on like really good Bordeaux. They tend to be a little bit sort of thinner, a little bit more austere. I think you want something a bit richer with this dish. So I'd go to the New World, to Chile's got some great Cabernet Sauvignons at very good price, especially at Maple Valley, which is quite close to Santiago, just in the north. You could also do California in the States, or I prefer actually a little bit further up if you go up to Washington State. You get some really good Cabernets from there. They're not cheap, but very, very good. Or like I'm going to have Australian. Australia's got some fantastic Cabernet Sauvignon from many different regions, to be honest. I'm going for one from Victoria, the state I live in, from the Pyrenees, Sally's Paddock. This is actually a blend. It's got 6 different varieties in it, but Cabernet Sauvignon is one of the dominant varieties in it. So I'm going to drink that with it. I'm starving because I started cooking this quite late. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please like the video if you liked it, subscribe, and tune in for my next episode where I'm going to be cooking a vegan version of the national dish of Belize. See you later.